What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Teville with Counterpunched Boxing News, and I have some more news concerning Terence Bud Crawford. Get this. Terence Crawford responds to Teofimo Lopez and Jaron Ennis. First, this is what he said about Jaron Ennis. He said, like I said, at Jaron Ennis had two opportunities to fight me. We talking about a kid that's still fighting in the theater. Make it make sense, okay? And he said, and at Teofimo Lopez, yo little bitch ass better worry about them little guys that's on yo ass down there in yo weight class. It's crazy. Every time I see yo ho ass, you don't even look my way. But when you are in front of a camera, you got so much to say. Bars. You a pussy. And this is what he ended with, okay? Terence Crawford ended with, I might give y'all one more or not, because y'all don't know how to appreciate greatness when you see it. Those are the words of Terence Bud Crawford, and let me counterpunch. Jaron Ennis, he's trying to make a name for himself. I think that would be a good fight. I would love to see Jaron Ennis, fight Terence Crawford. I would love to see a lot of fights. But before I get into any of that, I think Jaron Ennis is a guy, he's the IBF champion. He needs to step up in competition, and he's calling out the best to do it. That's cool. However, he was already put on the spot when he said, oh, yeah, well, hey, I've been wanting to fight you. I've been calling you out. And see, his dad gave it away because his dad said, well, no, because we want to stay loyal to PBC, Fox, or Showtime, and that's what we're going to stay close to and loyal to. So if you're going to do that, how are you going to fight Terence Crawford at the time you claim that you called him out? So it really doesn't make sense. Now, as far as Jaron Ennis fighting at a theater or whatever, I don't think that it really matters. I think if a fighter, depending on what status he's at, if he's on the level technically, I think he deserves a shot. I just don't want someone that knows damn well they don't deserve that type of money to want more money than they're worth. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that, but I don't think anybody, oh, I'm too good to fight you. I don't believe that, though. I don't believe in, hey, I'm here and you're there. If they're in the same weight class, let's see it. Now, as for Teofimo Lopez, okay, I never really seen him say anything to Terence Crawford. Obviously, Terence Crawford has seen Teofimo Lopez in outings or at fights or whatever in the public eye, and he didn't really have a lot to say, okay? And, when he said when he gets into a camera he wants to talk, I believe that, because I think he needs to address that. And if anybody, how I feel about people that act one way in your face, but then they get away from you on camera, they got everything under the sun to say about you. I don't care for that either. If Teofimo Lopez is really serious about what he's doing, he would be making some type of face-to-face contact, filling out Terence Crawford's body language, and stepping to Terence Crawford officially not doing what he did by putting down his resume. And I didn't really mention this earlier, and I'm going to mention it now. Speaking of resumes, Teofimo Lopez, you were beaten by George Kambosos. George Kambosos was then in return beaten twice back-to-back by Devin Haney. Then you go and fight Sandor Martin and you lose. And then you question yourself after the fight, didn't think you had a hot mic, bars. And you let out of your mouth, man, am I really good enough? Do I still got it, yo? Asking your people in doubt, in question, that you still had it as a fighter. You know what I mean? And you might say, oh, I won or whatever. But Sandor Martin, not only did he drop you, he was slick, he was crafty, and he beat you. And a lot of people seen that. You came back with the Scottish fighter, and it's like, okay, He's not. He's in the shit house because he just got beat by Jack Catterall. So he's in a shitty position that you're in, just as shitty. Both of you guys kind of went under the radar based on your namesake, and you won by popularity because this is boxing, the sport that I love, that I hate so much, And I think, if anything, Teofimo Lopez, the type of guy that he is, he needs a lot of redemption, and that's not enough, to redeem himself. Honestly, I don't think so. I think, him calling out guys like Terence Crawford now, without really sending over a legitimate offer is just cap. That's pretty much it. I look at Teofimo, and when I first saw him, I'm like, wow, he is really a pretty good fighter. But when he got beat by George Kambosos and Vasil Lomachenko, he never gave Lomachenko a rematch, which I think that's more on Lomachenko's fault, though, because Lomachenko, him being arrogant or his team being too overconfident or whatever you want to call it, they should have implemented a rematch clause in that contract. So, yeah, shame on them. But that doesn't really mean that Teofimo Lopez couldn't have took the high road, been the better person, and saying, you know what? I did that once, I can do it again. And he wants to complain about how much money or how less of money that he was getting. Well, you shitted on the opportunity to make money fighting Lomachenko again. Bob Arum would have fronted that his damn self. You didn't want it. Your father wanted it for you. Bob Arum wanted that fight for you, that rematch for you. You didn't want it because your ego had got this big from going in there and fighting a guy that really didn't start fighting you until about the 6th or 7th round. And on top of that, he started beating you up, son. So at that point, yeah, you won because you got a good head start, but that didn't mean you beat Lomachenko because you were the better fighter. When he started fighting, he started beating you. Okay, now the later rounds, he did come back and got some good counters in, and he was the bigger guy in there that night. But nonetheless, character is what happens when you win. That you show true character when you win and what you do with your wins. How do you respond? How do you act? Do you act like a diva? Do you act like your shit don't stink? Do you start smelling yourself? Those are the questions you ask yourself when you're dealing with character, when a person gets something that he says he wanted. And he got what he wanted, and he did absolutely nothing with it. He fought George Kambosos, egg in your face, because then he beat you. And then you didn't even want to rematch him because, again, your ego was so big, right, that you felt you were still better than that other person. And then you beat Pedro Campa, okay, in August of 22. And then you fought Sandor Martin in December and lost, split decision. And everyone know you lost. That really wasn't even a close fight, honestly. Okay, he lost that fight. Then he goes and fights Josh Taylor last year. Okay, Josh Taylor's already in the shit house for doing the similar thing. So there's nothing. Saying all that to talk about Teofimo Lopez's resume. His resume is really not impressive. You didn't seal the deal with Lomachenko because you should have fought him again. Everybody knows that. Pedro Campa, who the hell is that? We don't know who that is. Sandor Martin, the guy that upset Mikey Garcia, beat you, but he didn't have a big enough name. Okay, so they gave it to you by default, and I don't understand that. You beat Josh Taylor. Who the hell is Josh Taylor, and what has he done lately? Not a lot. Okay, let's just be real. And now you're calling out Terence Crawford, criticizing his resume? Yo, listen. Anybody that beat Errol Spence, the one and only person that beat Errol Spence, you should be ashamed of yourself saying some shit like that. I don't care how many excuses Errol Spence comes up with. He still got his ass whooped. Sean Porter got stopped. Kell Brook got beat. Okay? So, if anything, people, I think if anything, the resume bid, him saying and talking about Terence Crawford's resume, I don't think that was a good idea. But what I will say about Terence Crawford, this gives a little speck of hope that him saying, I might give y'all one more, not because y'all don't know how to appreciate greatness when you see it. Maybe that means, okay, that he may fight someone like Teofimo. He may fight someone like Jaron. You know why? Because he wants to prove another point before he gets out of Dodge. And he could very well do that. You don't play with Terence Crawford, though. But Terence Crawford just knew what he was really worth based on what he was already getting from Top Rank. So all those negotiations, people shitted down Terence Crawford's neck. The fight finally happened, and he beat the cowboy shit out of Errol Spence. And someone like Teofimo Lopez that still needs to get his stripes back, he should be quiet at this point. Because at this point, you beat Josh Taylor. What does that mean? You really, because what he thinks is, oh, well, I'm undisputed and I beat another guy undisputed. No, when you didn't beat Josh Taylor when he was undisputed. He was truly undisputed. You were not. Okay, you still had a belt out there. If you would have got that belt, then you would have been looked upon as an undisputed guy, but you really weren't. But I would love to see the fight because I like more walking than talking anyhow, to be real with you, but Jaron Ennis, I think, he's clout chasing, and Teofimo Lopez is pretty much doing the same thing. I'm just curious to see what'll happen if Terence Crawford actually says, you know what, if you come to 147 and you truly want a campaign up here and you want to come see me, yeah, I'll give you a shot if you really want the fight. But if you don't waste my time. That's what I would do if I'm Terence Crawford. Then I'll fight Errol Spence. Because, he has to fight Errol Spence again based on the contract. And I think a lot of people know that, including Team Lopez. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Terence Crawford responding to Jaron, Boots, Ennis, and Teofimo Lopez Jr. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace!